I was a lobbyist for a public health organization that does international work on HIV and AIDS and tuberculosis and malaria. I worked for nearly 10 years at the American Red Cross, leading their government relations shop as the chief congressional lobbyist and also as the chief of their government operations unit. So I've had a lot of management experience and a lot of government relations experience. But, I turned 40 last year, and I decided I wanted to do something easy with the second half of my career. So I decided to, head the Secular Coalition for America. That's a joke, of course.
To speak out on behalf of the oppressed minority of non-religious, it's a big challenge.
It is. But, it's by far the most important work I will do in my career. And I say that with humility. I truly believe that we can change the way that the direction that our country is going and make this a better place for all people. I don't care if you're LGBT, if you're a woman seeking access to reproductive health care. It's my desire to see In God We Trust get off our dollar bills and out of the halls of Congress and off the walls of our courtrooms. We are a democracy, and I believe that the more we live the founders' ideas of the way that they devised this country, the better off all people, including the religious, by the way,
right,
will be going forward.
Now, what's funny that listeners don't know this yet because we haven't told them, but you've been around for a while, and I've been doing the atheist activist thing for a while, and we actually happened to just serendipitously meet on the streets of Washington, D.C.
We did indeed. Yes, you came to town for the Reason Rally, and you were wearing a shirt that made me believe that you were one of our people, so I walked over to you and I introduced myself.
Yes, it's a shirt that was created several years ago by a student group at the University of Illinois, and their original name of their group was Atheists, Agnostics, and Freethinkers. And yeah, you saw that shirt like many people. I actually put that up on my Facebook wall that I was getting lots and lots of love in D.C. from wearing this shirt. And I actually had people come up and point out my shirt to me and tell me how much they loved the shirt. And I go, "Oh, you're here for the Reason Rally?" And they'd say, "The what?" And so people that actually just normal human beings that lived there loved my shirt even without going to the Reason Rally or knowing anything about it. So you never know. And then right after you and I talked, I met a family of 4 that happened to live in Bloomington, Illinois. So we both traveled 1,500 miles, give or take, to find out that we only live about 35 miles from each other.
Isn't that great?
Yeah, it is. And it's one of the things that last week's show I talked about. Some people were poo-pooing the Reason Rally and that it was a complete failure. And one of the reasons I wanted to have you on right away was the wonderful success of being able to reach 2/3 of all the national senators and reps just in a 2-day time period. And, of course, I didn't know that the other third still got material so that we can try to promote a realistic, scientific-based worldview. And is this bill passed? Is it going to pass? Do you know what's going to happen? What's the results of all this work?
Well, unfortunately, we're dealt the hand that we have with this particular Congress. I don't see this bill actually moving forward this year. But it's a bill that's been introduced for the past several years. And, we have great champions on the Hill who believe that we need to actually do right by our young people. So to that degree, I think that we'll have success at some point going forward, but it's a process, and we have a divided Congress right now. I think the most ineffective Congress that we've had in decades. And so, from that standpoint, I think it's difficult to be encouraged by progress on the bill this year, except to say that the more people that we reach, the more engaged that we continue to be, we will create, in fact, a longer term, a successful strategy that will get the bill over the hump. And Yeah, hopefully we'll have the right person in the White House to actually sign it when it does pass.
Yeah.
So I'm encouraged, but it's a hard time in Washington. There's so much political discord, and there's a lot of unreasonableness happening on Capitol Hill, which is why I think the Reason Rally in and of itself is so important.
Well, I almost think that Obama could come out and say the sky is blue, and the Republicans would say that that's not true.
I think that's a fair assertion.
Excellent. Well, is there anything else that you want to tell us about the Secular Coalition before we move on with the rest of the show?
Yeah, the thing I want about the Secular Coalition is that we are an organization that, is mostly, we're small. We're not a huge organization, but we have 18 member groups. We represent basically every aspect of the non-theistic community in the country. We are your lobbyists in Washington. We're here every day fighting for you and for your civil liberties and for the civil liberties of all people in this country. And I would encourage your listeners, if they're not familiar with us, to go to our website, find out more about us, and to get involved, be engaged, because we can't do it alone any longer. We need citizen activists on the ground in your hometowns, in your states, fighting with us, along with us every single day, to make sure that we get our message out. And it's not just, I want to also be clear about something else. If your issue isn't sex ed, if your issue is climate change, we're engaged in climate change. If your issue is LGBT rights, I'm openly gay. I think I'm the only openly gay leader of the secular, in a major secular organization today. We are fighting for women's reproductive health. We are fighting for, the constant separation of church and state, as well as the protection of the First Amendment. So I would encourage your listeners to please be involved, join us, and help us however you can with your time, your talents, your resources, whatever you have, because we need people to come out and to be strong and to be active.
And so they should go to secular.org. They can get on the list to get alerts. They can see if their state has a chapter and join it. If the state doesn't have one, maybe they can contact somebody and help start one. And, of course,
absolutely,
very important, they can donate money.
Well, you said it, not me, but yes.
Excellent.
We do definitely need that. That's always helpful.
Yep. Well, Larry, thank you so much for your time and your work, and I look forward to seeing you again in the future.
Great, Phil. Thank you.
All right.
Call anytime.
Yep. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
You're listening to The Phil Ferguson Show on Secular Media Network.
All right. Of course, you are still listening to the cleverly titled Phil Ferguson Show. Once again, thanks for listening. Thank you for sharing the show with your friends, and thank you for going and giving 5-star reviews on iTunes and or ratings on other platforms. And I hope that example earlier in the show about taxes and the relationship to turnover was clear. It's an awful lot of math to do in a show. So, again, my apologies for that if I completely lost you. And I kind of had a feeling as I was doing it that was too much. But that's just how the world works. Investments involve a lot of math, or can, and it's stuff you need to think about. So you want to, whenever possible, keep turnover of your investments low. If that still doesn't make sense, please feel free to contact me, phil@polarisfinancialplanning.com. I can run you through it. I can send you a copy of the spreadsheet. You can play with it yourself. And maybe I made a math error. It's definitely possible. It wouldn't be the first time. But clearly when you pay your taxes sooner and you pay your taxes at a higher rate, the effect is going to be a -1 on the growth of your long-term portfolio. So anyway, that wraps up the show for this week. I think the next thing I've got is the Gateway to Reason in St. Louis. I hope to see you there, and I think that's in August. We'll talk to you later. Ciao.